So when prospective tenants reach out to us for the first time and they're interested in one of our properties, let's say they're interested in renting a room or a whole house or a flat, and we don't know who they are and they don't know who we are, I always, straight off the bat, I always ask these series of very short questions just to make sure that they are suitable for us and that what we have is also suitable for them. These are sort of deal breaker questions that I would recommend all good letting agents or landlord ask prospective tenants straight away. And if you are a prospective tenant and you're looking for accommodation, these are the questions that you should have at the back of your head, at the back of your mind, and you should have the answers ready for them. Okay, so the reason why we do this at the front end is because we really don't want to waste their time and we don't want them to waste our time. If I can find out exactly what the tenant situation is and what they're looking for, I can better direct them to the most suitable accommodation for them. And chances are it's probably not the original property that they reached out to us about. And the reason for that is that a happy tenant is a happy landlord, results in a happy landlord, and if they're both happy, then we're happy as the lettings and management agent. A happy tenant often creates less issues, and they often stay longer as well. So it's a win-win for everybody, really. Okay, so the first question I always ask is the tenant or the potential tenant, are they in full-time employment or in full-time education? Those are two very different profiles, and it's absolutely fine. There's no judgment either way. It's just working out what property or what household dynamic would be most suitable for them. And also it has a lot to do with insurance and mortgage conditions as well. For example, if you work full-time, do you have a full-time employment contract with a minimum of 34 hours a week, or are they self-employed? Again, absolutely fine, just makes referencing a bit more challenging. Or do they do agency work, or are they temping? Again, all absolutely fine. It's just that if you are not on a full-time employment contract, then you would need to evidence that you earn at least X amount per week. It's probably about 270, 300. That's just to make sure that you pass the affordability test. We're sort of responsible letting agents, and we have to make sure that you or the prospective tenant is not going to get into financial difficulties. Okay, so the next question is, when are you looking to move in? Again, another deal breaker question, because most agencies, most landlords have a maximum holding period of 2 to 3 weeks. For us, it's up to a month, just because a lot of prospective tenants need to give a month's notice to their current landlord or the current agency. So that's why we give up to a month from the moment the tenant pays the holding fee. The reason there is a maximum holding period is because the costs involved in letting a room or letting a property isn't cheap. There's marketing, cost of viewings, check-ins, inventory, contracting, all that sort of stuff. It's really, really time consuming. So that's just the lettings side of things, and then there's a void period as well on either side of the tenancy, for maintenance and stuff like that. So let's say you assume that the lettings cost is, let's say, 50 or 75%, or even 100% of the month's rent. So let's say the landlord loses a month's rent straight off the bat. That's out of 6 months. That's quite a lot of money. And then if the prospective tenant isn't looking to move in for a month, so let's say they paid a holding fee and they wish to move in a month's time, in terms of costs, that would be 2 months equivalent of rent that the landlord would have to pay out or lose in rent. So it'll be 1 month's rent, because there's a 1 month void period between when the tenant pays the holding fee and moves in, i.e. when they stop paying rent, and obviously the lettings cost itself. So out of a 6 months tenancy, let's say, 2 months costs is quite a lot, and it just doesn't make sense. So a lot of time when prospective tenants are looking for properties or looking for rooms, they want to move in 6 weeks time or 3 months time or 2 months time or something like that, and a lot of time they don't understand the economics involved behind it. So sometimes you'd have to explain to them, but if you're a prospective tenant yourself, at least now you know. Okay, so unless obviously you're a student looking to do, you're in the student market and you're looking to rent, let's say in the next academic year, that's completely different. Okay, so next then is how long are you looking to stay for? So with rooms, the minimum term is 6 months, or it is for us, and for whole properties, the minimum term is 12 months. Again, it's for the same reasons as I've just mentioned. If you've got your lettings costs and you've got voids either side, and as a prospective tenant you only look to stay for 6 months, those figures just aren't going to add up. And if you're renting a whole property, the cost for the landlord of letting that property is, let's say, a month's rent, so that's 1 month down. And then there's the void period as well, the period when the room becomes empty, or when you pay the holding fee before you move in, is, let's say, it's another month. That's 2 months. 2 months out of 12 months. That's if the rent is £1,000 a month, that's £2,000 that's just been lost, or that the landlord has to pay out. And if you are looking to rent a whole property, because the rent is generally quite let's say it's not cheap, then chances are I'd want a rough indication of what your annual income is. Again, no judgment. It's only there to make sure it's just a sense check more than anything. A lot of prospective tenants, a lot of time they're new to renting, especially sort of the early 20-year-olds. They will earn X amount and they'll have a lifestyle in mind. They think they can rent a place for 1,200, 1,300 or whatever, and they're only earning, let's say, £1,000 a month. You just have to really try to manage their expectations and just explain to them that really your income or the rent shouldn't be more than 50% of your income. Again, that's just us trying to be responsible letting agents. Some places have some agencies, some landlords have a minimum requirement of 40 to 50% of the income. Okay, so that's just the initial questions. That's just to say, right, these are sort of deal breakers. You don't pass these questions, or if they're not suitable, if they're not going to be suitable for you, then you're probably not going to be able to rent a room or property. I think that's my cat. Okay, so after that, then it's just about finding the most suitable property for the prospective tenant. Then I'll ask them sort of quickly, like 2 to 3 more questions, and these questions are just to make sure that what we have or what they want is the most suitable one for them. If not, we'll recommend them something that is more suitable for them, because it is really important. Okay, so the next question, if they're looking for a room, would be, are they looking for an ensuite, or are they there's less supply and therefore the rent's generally high, or are they okay with a shared bathroom and a house share? There's more supply of those, so the rent is generally a bit cheaper. Some people only want ensuites, for example, and it's a deal breaker for them. And then the final question is, do they have any other special requirements? For example, free private off-road parking, garden, bathtub. Some people want bathtubs, it's quite important. And these are the sort of answers that you need as the letting agent. You need to know the answers to, and so you need to understand your stock pretty well, and then you can recommend. And also, if you know what the tenants are like, you can also say, okay, I think you guys will get along, and then maybe to ask some difficult questions and see how they respond. Are they coming across as rude? They just say no. Okay, hope it's helpful.